Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. The warning that is written on the passenger side mirror. The mirror being convex shaped. Objects appear smaller and farther away, so they put that warning inscribed on the passenger side mirror. And I was looking at that the other day, and I got to thinking how things that we may need are closer to us than we realize. It could be things in our neighborhood, maybe even across the street, could be helpful to you, or things that you may need if we just looked, not realizing that there are some things in life that are closer than they appear. It could even be people. They may be closer to us than we realize. I can think back to my late father, who we didn't always get along growing up, but we stayed in contact and we grew closer, especially in his later part of his life. And then I realized that he was closer than he appeared. And then I got to thinking about other things as I start connecting the dots and I start relating things that I heard and read and saw together. And as I saw that written on this mirror, I got to thinking about a Army leader who told me, we were standing out on the flight line on Fort Bragg outside an aircraft hangar, and he asked me, do you know where the grass is greener? I said, no, sir. And he points down to his shined boots and he said, right under your own 2 feet. And I've never forgotten that. And then years later, I have heard that expression, the grass is green where you water it. Or you've heard the expression, the grass is greener on the other side. Or perhaps the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And how true that is. And then I got to thinking about a story I read years ago called Acre of Diamonds. Perhaps some of you read it, by Russell Conwell. And he was a Civil War veteran and a former commanding officer in the war. And he made it to the rank of colonel, and due to his experiences in the war, he ended up becoming a minister and did other things and spoke, gave speeches, and started a school and whatnot. He did quite a bit, and he gave these talks called Acre of Diamonds. And in one of his talks, he talks about this Persian farmer who had everything. He had a great farm. He had money saved that was collecting interest. He had everything that he needed. He was content and happy. And one day a Buddhist priest came to him, to his place, and they were just talking. And the priest was telling the story of how the earth was created, and I believe it's how God put his finger and was stirring the fog, and he's telling the story, and out came copper and all these different elements, and part of the elements that were created were diamonds. And he's telling the farmer how if you had a diamond the size of your thumb, you could buy the county in which you live. And if you had a whole acre of diamonds, it would be a blessing to your whole family, and this and that. And your kids could each sit on their own throne, you know. And the farmer's just into the story, and he goes to bed thinking about diamonds. And now he wants to go out and look for diamonds of his own. He goes to the priest and asks him, how can I go find diamonds? And the priest tells him, And so he goes out in search of diamonds far and wide. He travels, he leaves his family for someone else to take care of, sold the farm, and went off in search of diamonds. And he searched and searched and searched, could not find any diamonds, and in despair, he was standing by a river, and the water was moving, and he decided to then throw himself into that moving river and drowned himself and died. And the story continues on that later on, the farmer's successors, or whoever got the farm. Either it was this family member or somebody who bought the place ended up getting that farm. Anyway, whoever was there, he had a horse, and he's walking his horse on the property down by a stream, and noticed a rock where the horse was drinking water, picked it up, thought it was a nice rock, and he put it on his mantle in his house. Well, that priest came by to that farm to visit the successor of the farm, and immediately the priest noticed that rock and said, "Hey, that's a diamond. I know a diamond when I see one." And so they go outside to where the successor found that rock, and they start digging around, and lo and behold, they found more of those gems and rocks, and it turned out to be diamonds. And it turned out that whole place was covered in them. And so the story is teaching that here's this farmer who had everything he needed. He was contented. He was happy. But the story says that he went to bed that night after hearing about those diamonds. He was poor because he was not content with what he had. And the story is trying to teach that we should be happy with what we have, be content, but oftentimes what we have can literally be in our own backyard. To take stock of what you already have. Look around at where you're at. You may not necessarily have to go far away in search of something, in search of success, in search of happiness. It could be in your own area. And yes, there are times where it does pay to leave, to go to greener pastures. A lot of men in the United States have left and are living abroad and not content with the way things are in the United States with the economy and just the political divide. They're going, and the dating scene, the marriage laws, the way they're set up. And so you've got men who are taking what they have and living in other countries where it's cheaper, better cost of living. There's not so much all the divide that's going on in this country. And as I tape this, it is now election day as I speak. And what's going to be the fallout after that? And so you've got men who are finding wives and relationships and are happier. And as I've heard one man tell me, "Jim, I'm happier than I've ever been." And he's living currently in the Philippines. And so there are times where you do have to go to other areas because you've watered and watered and watered the grass in which you're at, and it has not turned green. So that might be, you may have to do that. But But before you do that, it's good to exhaust everything that you have around your area. Take a look around at where you're at, and I say this to myself too. What are the opportunities where I live? Where is the need? I can remember when I was living in Fayetteville, North Carolina, when I was stationed at Fort Bragg. I remember this man he drove around in an old pickup truck, and he was known as the Bicycle Man. And somebody made some magnet signs for him to stick on the side of his pickup, and it said, the Bicycle Man. And what he did is he picked up old bicycles. People knew that he did this. They donated bikes to him. He refurbished those bikes, got them up to speed, made sure that they were safe and sound to ride, and any children in need in the community, they could get a bike from him. And that's what he did. He saw a need in the community, and he filled it. And we can get a lesson from that. And you can see a need in your community, fill it. Is there a business opportunity? What is not there? What's something that you need? What's not? What do people need? And when you find that void, find that need, that could be a business opportunity. Some people may not necessarily think along those lines. And what is that expression? Invention is the mother, or necessity is the mother of invention. And so how many things have been invented? Buttons, the paper clip, sewing machine, all of those things that were something that was a need. Somebody saw it, came up with an idea, and they made it, and were able to make fortunes doing that. Some people have a skill that they have with their hands, woodworking. They can make a certain thing. Maybe somebody may find an interest in that and can be sold to generate an income. And so we may not realize, if we start doing some digging around, start thinking, what could I do? What's a need that I can fill? Where can I venture out, try something new, and you may eventually end up with your own acre of diamonds. And so that's what I wanted to share. And in a nutshell, the opportunities we need for success can be right in front of us. Could be right in front of us. Objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. There are things around us that are closer than we realize. To make the most of what we have. Making the most of what we have. Appreciating what we have. And unlike the farmer who he didn't necessarily appreciate what he had, and so he sought out more, when all he had to do was just walk out into his backyard, and literally did he know he was already in his own acre of diamonds. And of course, hard work, dedication is going to be needed, persistence in whatever it is that we decide to do. We shouldn't be afraid to take risks, take chances. You just never know what you might be able to accomplish. May lead to other opportunities, some type of success that you may not realize you have. And like that bicycle man, giving back to the community, finding those areas in the area where you live, what's the need, and to fill it. And that could give us happiness and fulfillment in our life, the helping ourselves by helping others. And so that's what I wanted to talk about, seeing that inscription on the mirror, thinking about that story, Acre of Diamonds by Russell Conwell. The expression of how the grass is not always green on the other side got me to thinking about all these things. And so it's just a good reminder And to maybe not always have to go out and seek and think it's better somewhere else, but to take stock of right where you are and appreciate where you are, appreciate what you have, and look around and find those opportunities, find those places where you can help, because it's around. It's around if we just look hard enough, and I say that to myself as well. So anyway, that was all. Beautiful day here in Ohio. It's going to be in the 70s today. I'm going to get some things done, and we hope for the best on this election, that everything turns out and we don't get into some type of civil unrest. But anyway, I digress. That's not the purpose of this video. But anyway, thank you again. I'll see you on the next one.